Oh, so sorry. The title pretty much says everything. See if up here is any better for the phone. There we go. I'm surprised the light is actually quite good. It's better than most of the other videos I've been making lately. And my light's fallen down. So I've just got it perched on my desk. But because it's lower, it seems to be an improvement. So I find myself broken again, but that's nothing new. And each time I break, I assess life, I assess what's been taking place, and make decisions to go forward. And well, I kind of broke this morning. It happened yesterday and last night. The breaking, but I realised it this morning. I think it's not really important, that part, but I've not been able to do a thing today. I can't get past. I say yesterday, last night, but it's not just yesterday and last night. It's when I break, it's the cherry on the cake that breaks me. Seeing a beautiful cake there in front of you is the cherry on the cake that makes it, isn't it? It's not finished till that cherry's on. You're not broken until you've had that cherry. Well, it was my cherry yesterday. And I've been running around like a headless chicken now for well over a year. With my life breaking around me. And in all honesty, what got me up and active in the first place was me realizing that simple fact that I could take positives from the medication that I'd taken, I was forced to take. Despite my stern, I think that's the word, stern viewpoint on antipsychotic medication. But as my life was starting to break, it broke in such a way that it made me active. And the way it made me active and the way, the effects of the medication basically removed the problems that led to hospital in the first place. And where they removed those problems, they didn't really remove them, they made them worse. The problems were made worse. And I haven't really had those problems in the same way come back until now. And they're starting to come back. But what it is, 14 months later since I went to hospital, no, not 14, 13 months. No, 14, this February is the 14th month. I've got the negative effects of that medication, the things that they made worse about that initial problem, still with me. And now I've got the initial problem coming back. And in all honesty, I don't know how to function. I can say to myself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. Maybe be allowed to do those things. And they may or may not improve the situation. But life is very hard to do anything. I might get an hour in a day, 2 hours in a day on average, if I'm lucky. Let's say on average, over a course of a week, I'll get 1 or 2 hours a day. And I've still got windows leaking, I've still got solar panels to install, I've still got a lot of work to do on my home to bring me up to bare basic levels. Then I've got the stresses of life. Then I've got the added stresses that my mental health causes, that I can't keep on top of my life in the first place. And then I've got these two problems to deal with in addition. And when it's like I'm looking at my life and I normally break and I assess my life and I find a way forward, I'm ruthless with my self-attachments to ways of being, because as long as I can be flexible, a prostitute to material world and to a certain extent spiritual and human worlds and myself, I can normally wriggle out of those hard places. And well, this time it occurred, and I've been trying to rack my brains all day to figure a way forward, and I can't do it. And I stopped. I just stopped. Then I stop just now because I've not been able to think clearly. The pain, the pressure, everything just prevents me from thinking. And what it is, I'm being honest on this live stream, because honesty's hard, but when you learn that honesty can get you out of problems, you want it. And there was just that split-second moment then when it occurred. So today, when I was trying to think of how to get myself out of this, the way I've been doing it of the recent past and the positive changes I've made to my life, is to remind myself of our problem, the world, the suffering that's taking place, and not only the suffering that's taking place, because it's been taking place for aeons, suffering, but in terms of me being alive in these modern times, it's the seriousness of where I find myself in life at the moment. Because at the moment I look out onto the world, and where I've seen problems and causes for our problem, the world's suffering. So this is where my mind has been for many years. I've seen the causes, I've seen accountability and responsibility, I've seen it all, and just done my own thing, always aware of it. But life's put me in a place at the moment where I'm not able not to look at it, because I can't. It's just the weirdest thing. I can't do a lot of things in my life. I'm very easily controllable. Whoever wants to control me, whether it be my family, if I had a girlfriend, my dog could even control me. So I complain about secret services and reptilians that are hassling me. I'm a controllable person. And what I mean by that is through my spiritual practice, through my understandings and the teachings that have come my way, through my own nature, my nature is not to fight, to seek harmony. My whole life. And for whatever reason, over those years, I've simplified, because that's what spirituality says, non-attachment. Know yourself, know thyself. Om, I am. Who are you? You know, if you keep it really simple, be a good person as well, answering all of those questions, you can pretty much imagine where I'm at in terms of my mind to life. I prefer the simple. I prefer harmony. I prefer nature. And in that place, it's pretty simple anyway. And then after about 5, 6, 7 years of my mental health disorder, I began to see myself. Because all my mental health disorder was like, I tried to take lessons from it. I tried to overcome it. So one, I was trying to fight it because I had to. Otherwise it would have destroyed me. Well, I mean, I suppose that's arguable, but that's the way I dealt with my mind. On the outside, I'm harmony with myself. I'm at war, and my mental health wants to come on board and say, "I am you. Fine, you're me, but I'm gonna have to go to war with myself." What I'm trying to get at is trying to get to the crux of my mental health disorder as a problem, so I could live. I imagined I'd go back to the time before my mental health and live life on that level if I could overcome it. So I had to fight. It was like a disease, like any disease, cancer. You have to fight. What you're going to do, lay down and let it. Anyway, so that was my approach for my mental health. As I was fighting it, I explored it, I observed it. And there would be commonalities, there would be things that I became aware of that were just beyond this reality. In other words, for me, my mental health disorder was a spiritual journey. There was a consciousness that was running it. And that's how I perceived it. So I tried to take the lessons from it where possible, so there was no need to fight. And all the other stuff I didn't understand, I just fought endlessly. In that place, I began to see myself. I was like, you can't be... I'd be like having an active conversation with towards my mental health, and it'd be like, you can't do this to me. I mean, I haven't done anything wrong. All I'm doing is this, or all I'm doing is that. Why are you doing this to me? Before, there would be a logic to it. Now it's become irrational. So I see the situation like that, and then I look back on myself and my actions, and then further refine myself, further refine my actions. And in that place, you see your actions. You see yourself in terms of actions and mentality. And I began to realize, hang on a second. This is an external consciousness. I can see how it affects me. Where am I responsible in all of this? Because I'm a very simplistic person. And if I've got a mental health disorder, that mental health disorder can control me. Now, if I'm a complex person, that mental health disorder's got a hard job controlling the individual through that complexity. But when the mind is simple, it's an easier job. But at the same time, I realized, hang on a second, whoever it is that's running my mental health, they probably know what I'm going to do next before I even know it, because I'm that, it's not controllable, the word I'm looking for, it's predictable due to my simplicity. And I've realised that. And I noticed that, and I became aware of it, and I saw that, hang on, Andres, you're not at fault here. You're being taken for a ride. So when I break from life, I try to observe life and see what messages life is giving me. And I try and grow from those and try and humble myself to get beyond my own trauma, to get beyond my own wants of life, desires, basically, and surrender. You know, if it means, it was like a few years ago, it was like my mental health disorder was like pushing me to be awake at night and sleep in the day. And I had the flexibility in life at the moment, and I remember making the decision, yeah, well, why not? My life will be easier if I'm not fighting my mental health. And it became easier. It's happening again. But at the moment, I can't work night. I can't be awake at night and sleep in the day. My life isn't structured in that way. As I said, I need to be doing work on the boat. I need to go out to the shops. I need to be catching the coal boat, the fuel boat, as it goes past. It's no good if I'm asleep. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to speak to this person, and that. I need to be awake in the day. That's my requirement. And I can't surrender on that level at the moment. So what I was getting at is, when I stopped earlier, mid-sentence, it's because where I was unable to think clearly enough all day long, as I've made this live stream and I started speaking, I realised the tone of the thought that has gone into the recent decisions. And when I've been breaking recently, I've been trying to put my mind, as I said, to the problems of the world, and realise now, when I'm looking out at the world, because my life has taken control of me, my mental health has taken control of me, and it's making me look out at the world. As I said, I'm a simple person. I realised, 4 years ago, everything I do in my life is ultimately controlled by a higher consciousness. I'm sure I get free will within that somewhere. I don't know where. But when it comes to things like this, I have to be aware, because I don't want to be listening to the news at all. And if I look at all the stepping stones that have got me to this point where I'm looking out at the world now, I realise that it's an external consciousness, my mental health. Whoever's got the puppet strings to my mental health has put me in this place. So I'm looking out at the world for the first time in my life. And we've just had the pandemic, mass vaccinations, threats of mandates. I don't believe that's going away. I believe that's in our future. We have Ukraine and Russia going to war over Crimea. And all I want to do is play Justin Timberlake Crimea River, because it's an absolute joke. Why can't countries just resolve land issues after the last war? Doesn't that make sense? How many wars have been fought over land as a result of sloppy tidying up after a war? It's too many. It's just ridiculous. And now they want to go to war. I don't do politics. I don't understand it, but what I do know is my mate Titch, that just recently passed away, the Thich Nhat Hanh. I call him my mate Titch. That's how I reference him to myself. Hid something within his wisdom, and that was a simplicity of communication. And within that simplicity of communication, it can be applied to anything. And why, when lives are at stake, land, countries, futures, cultures are all at stake, there's a little bit more awareness not applied by those individuals. God knows how many millions goes into war. God knows how many trillions, and the foresight that must go into it. Why can't we just do that? Apply that foresight, that power of thought that says, yeah, we're going to go to war. To remedy, to heal, to be clear in the first instance when going to war. I haven't heard the news really state once, and I've actually been watching it, listening to it quite a bit over the past 2 weeks, and they haven't made it clear at all. Why is Russia going to war? And you know, the past week it's all been, because America and the UK have put troops there. It's a joke, isn't it? Things are serious. Very. North Korea's rogue. Why hasn't anyone invaded North Korea yet? Why hasn't the UK and America put their troops on their borders and active with the news? They're firing missiles left, right and centre. Russia and Ukraine haven't done anything. It sounds like kids at school, something little happened, and then all the other kids come around, oh my God, did you hear what he said? And then one kid gets embarrassed and it's like, he goes all red. And he realises the severity in terms of peer pressure and socialising. And then he goes and decks him. It's a bit like that. But we're talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of pounds. How many lives are going to be at risk? The tone that it puts to the fucking population is depressing. It's just insane. It's like little kids. Can you imagine the general, the leader of the American army, and viewing him as like a 6-7-year-old kid in school uniform? It's unbelievable. But that's what we're talking about. I mean, they must be serious people, but they're not whole people. They're not healed people. They've probably got PTSD themselves from all the wars they've fought, from all the people they've sentenced to death. God knows what other mental health disorders they've got, but they're in charge still of a massive army, and that deficit within them makes them behave like a little child, where they're not aware of everything. So I'm aware for the first time in my life the outside world, there's serious stuff going on. Shit's hitting the fan. And there's other reasons as well that I'm aware of that support that for myself. So I'm looking at the world and it's serious, and that's what's been getting me up and active. It's like, right, that 12-year-old girl that lost her family in a war, lost her home, lost her friends, is alone to the world, and she's got to fight for life in that last war. That's serious. Shit's hitting the fan on another level that I've never understood before. After 35 years of just observing the world and stalking the world and at a distance, and now it's hitting the fan. 35 years. It's a long build-up. That's what I'm trying to get at. And you take into account other matters in terms of spirituality. We're at the time where we're entering the Aquarian age. We're at the time where there's a planetary awakening happening as we speak. Collective psychosis. Shh, don't say anything. And obviously, the bad guys, not the generals, not that, on another level, the elite, the Illuminati, they're illuminated too. So they must interfere on a spiritual level, through the material, through the political system, through all the systems of the world. And it's happening now. So I made a little tattoo on my arm that I need to finish of the peace symbol. And it was a reminder of how serious things are at the moment. And it's been getting me up and active, and realising that if I can get myself in a place where I can be of service in whatever which way, that's the best I can do. And not only that, it's going to help me in the long run anyway. But I tried to look at the tattoo and try to contemplate that in relationship to what I've gone through in the past day, and experiencing the problems of last year coming back, and also having the extra hard problems that were caused by the antipsychotic medication sitting on my plate. And I couldn't do it today. I couldn't relate to that perception of the world enough to move me. But as I said it now on the live stream, it was like a little bit more real, a little bit more emotions were involved. So I want to be honest with myself and say, do I need to look at that again? Because it's hard, you know. You spend the day thinking about something. It's almost like you're lying to yourself. When you have a mental health disorder, it's almost like lying to yourself at times. When you get an inkling of truth that's going to make it difficult for you. Now, I've thought about that 2, 3, 4 times today. And I got nowhere. And all of a sudden on live stream, it's like, oh, hang on a second, it's a little bit more real. Maybe it can move me. What do I have to hide from the viewers? And that's the initial instinct. But I know to look at it. And that's what I guess I'm going to explore now. So the fire's just gone out. And I explored everything in my life today. Everything I owned. Practical measures I explored. Not in so much detail because I don't know what more I can do. I explored spiritual. Well, I don't really remember everything, but I spent the whole day thinking about it, and I got nowhere. So in relationship to things being serious, the situation there is a few factors. One is I'm still here. I'm still here in the present moment, experiencing what I'm experiencing yesterday. I can't fathom for my life how I'm going to do a thing for the world when I can barely wipe my bottom. Secondly, it's a case of with my troubles as they are, how do you raise yourself to view the world's problems when you look at your own problems and you realize in the present moment, I'm in trauma, I'm in shock, I'm in pain about my life. I don't have room to think about the world. And then you think about it again and you think, well, yeah, right. It looks like Russia's about to invade Ukraine. That's going to happen. Nothing I can do in the next week is what they were saying on the news. It might be any time. That's the way they referenced it. That Russia invades. What am I going to do in the next week? Alright, so Russia invades before I manage to help anybody. Then what? It's a long war. I'm not going to do anything to help. By the time I get myself in a place to help, if I can, not to help the war, but to help the world in any way that life says this is how you're going to help. I might be here for years. And when you realise that that's the situation, those 3 points, sort of puts it in perspective when you're just in the middle of your own problems and they're severe too. So in all honesty, I'm not going to be able to use that same mentality to get me up and active every day. So what I'm starting to realise is, for whatever reason, it's like my life is going to the shitter. My life is going downhill. no matter what I can do, my life is going to go in the way that I don't want it to. And that's the best I did with my thinking today. Accept the worst case scenario and start planning for it. Might be the only solace I can get in this insane time. But that's why I've made the live stream. I thought I've got nothing to lose. To try the live stream too. But as I said in the title, I don't think I'm going to get past this one. Got to be careful. I'm going to get a fireball just like that. Thought I took my eyebrows off the other day. So at the moment I'm looking at my life and I'm thinking, do I prepare for the worst? Start planning and accepting and living my life. The worst case scenario is going to be taking place. And if you look at it that way, you can be a bit proactive. You can do something, but it's not quite a solution in any way. I mean, everything I give is to avoid those worst case scenarios, and it looks like if they're happening anyway, what the fuck am I doing? What is this world? What is this life? Is there a point if you live your life and you give everything? You give absolutely everything. It's not being taken advantage of in a very, very painful way. And if at the same, if in the end you're only going to end up there anyway, well then what are we doing? Why aren't we 8 billion people intoxicated out of terror? Or is that what we are? A planet of intoxicated people. Not through psychedelics, not through any modern drugs, not through alcoholism, not through marijuana, but through the pain of the trauma that sits within them on an emotional level. Is that what we are? And we live our lives realizing there's nothing that can be done. Fuck it. Fuck it, fuck the world attitude, you know? I mean, how blasé was I about Russia's going to invade Ukraine. Probably this week, and there's nothing I can do. Just think about the next war. I just passed it off. People are going to die. People are going to get shot in injustice over one man's idea to label this part of the world Ukraine and this part of the world Russia. Another man's mind to create the political system. Another input. We've all had input over the past aeon to get to the modern times, but it's all a bit bollocks. If you look at the world, the structure, the political system, the monetary system, the reasons why we go to war, it's all a bit wishy-washy. Can you go to war on a wishy-washy reason? Because that's what we're doing. We're going to go and kill life for wishy-washy reasons. I'll tell you what, if I didn't have my problems, the realization of what I just said would put me in the same place, if I'm absolutely honest. Because that's terrifying. To think every day, the place where I live, if I paid taxes through work, it goes to support wishy-washy reasons to go to war and take life. Well, that's this country. The UK is one of the top countries in the world in terms of the military, but they're not the top. What happens if Russia wants to invade the UK? I don't know if the UK could stand up to that. Maybe they could. What I mean is, look at yourself in another position, look at yourself in another place, look at yourself in another country. Now imagine you're a resident of Afghanistan, Iran, Palestine. How many other number of countries around the world are a bit pathetic when it comes to being able to defend themselves in any way? Pretty much everybody underneath whoever's above you. So in other words, you want to be at the top, and if you're not at the top, you're fucked. But being a resident in Afghanistan and looking at the same scenario, it's not quite the same picture, is it? Oh my God, Russia's going to go and invade Ukraine over wishy-washy ideas. They're going to kill people and destroy families, culture, life, land for wishy-washy ideas. What are we doing as a human race? And my country still, in its stupidity, supports having an army when anybody with a rifle and a bow and arrow could invade. What the hell is my government on about? Why aren't they just going on social media and starting social media campaigns promoting peace and harmony instead of giving anything to having an army? It's not about that. It's about what we have that supports the world today, also supports the ability to go to war. And we don't blink an eyelid. There are whole departments in government for war. How many departments are there for harmony, peace? If all those millions and billions that were going to that department start going into the other departments, do you reckon the world would look a little bit different? The people would feel a bit different. They'd start waking up. They'd stop making stupid decisions in their everyday life. Stop living through intoxication, probably caused by that statement, that scenario. That scenario is enough to put someone in that place, that reality. We don't care about our fellow humans more than we do about supporting a corrupt system. I've gone off on a tangent. From what I wanted to discuss, but that's the reality. We're done before we even get up because of that. What you're going to do, go and waste your life protesting, getting locked up in and out of cells all the time. What are we going to do? You and me value this iPhone. We value our own personal pseudo-security. Nobody's got security in this world, so we value fighting to be as secure as possible, as safe as possible. When it's a losing battle. And in that struggle, you don't think about the real situation. We're an insane species. This is the worst it's ever been. They didn't have bombs. They didn't have guns in the Dark Ages. All the programs on TV, it's almost humorous the way they portray the Dark Ages now. Look how stupid they were. Shit serious. And I don't know how to get myself out of this one. I don't know, I'm alone in this world. My family, as much as I love them and I know have good intent behind their actions, are responsible for my problems now. The collective psychosis don't help. The services only, as I said, the antipsychotic has made my circumstances even worse. It doesn't really help. For some, I can imagine it's extremely helpful, but for me, it's not. It's detrimental. But because it's part of a system, and that system isn't flexible, and that system isn't there for the people in the first instance, they're happy to take away my freedom, my privileges, and forcibly inject me with chemicals I fear more than anything. That's the modern world. I haven't harmed anybody. I might harm somebody now as a result of this experience. I've never harmed anybody in my whole life. I was a human punching bag in school. I've just got a big mouth. I make noise and I bang a wall with my hand, consciously, every so often, to let off the pressure in my physical body. Ironically, that the medication doesn't help. The medication, I'm sure it can help in a certain way, especially if there's a team of human beings around it that have wisdom on any level, they can make it work. You compare that to a course of something healthy and natural, you're going to see a different person at the end of the day. The reasons I've been sectioned are pathetic. The reasons I've been forcibly injected medication are pathetic. The support, the help that I've received is pathetic. There's only so much the wisdom in good people can make something bad look anywhere towards good without you just realising, no, it's just bad to begin with. But what my whole life seems to be coming out to the masses. How many countries have 80% vaccinated population? Oh, we've got a pandemic. Come on everybody, line up. Here's some chemicals for you. What's in it? You don't need to know that. It's a vaccine for the problem. Come and have some medicine. Do you want a sticker with that? Does that help? Do you want... Oh, what we'll do, we'll make it part of a club. If you don't have the vaccine, you're not going to be allowed to go to football stadiums. You're not going to go to music concerts. You're not going to be able to go to nightclubs. We'll make it special for you. It's really sick, isn't it? I didn't mean to make it sound so sick, but it's really sick. So what I'm thinking is either I've got to do something drastic, not that way, but drastic in terms of really reassessing my life, really putting myself in a place where I can see the seriousness of the situation. And I think I've got an idea. I think I've got an idea of what I need to do. It's drastic for me. Drastic for where I've been fighting for the last God knows how long in terms of life. So in other words, all the energy I've put into life over the past year, let's say, is really just like gonna go. It's almost irrelevant to realise in the present moment of us. And yeah, absolutely. So I wasn't expecting a way forward, and I won't share exactly what it is, but the good news is I can stay positive, keep to the last reshuffling of my life, where I came out and I was like, I'm not going to let problems get to me in the same way. I want to be there for the world. And it's given me a little bit of life to a certain extent. But then reality came and knocked, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But thank you for sticking with me. 55 minutes YouTube and Google supercomputers, because you've helped me see a way forwards, and it's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, it's going to be dark on all levels, but it's the only way, and I'd prefer that, if I'm honest, than other options. There's no way I can have ever imagined perceiving the injustice and lack of harmony in this world, to see the suffering someone goes through in war from someone who hasn't been through war as much as possible, to the extent I have, without having lived the misery I have. And here I am sitting here in front of you saying, look, you don't have to live the past 14, 15 years of, well, it's not even 14, 15 years. If you had all the old school problems on top, the Old Testament, there are problems there too. You don't have to live anything like my life, suffer anything like my life, if you can hear what I just said. And you cannot fight, and you don't fight it, and you just hear it. I don't know where you're going to go with it. I don't know how it's going to affect you, that wisdom, that perception. As I said, I needed to live a hard, unpleasant life on some levels to even get remotely close to seeing the truth of the cost of our luxuries. Doesn't say that on the packaging when you go and purchase something in the shop, or on the receipt, or on the websites. Information informational literature the company puts out, you don't see the real cost. We don't. I see pounds and pence. That's what's on my mind. And every so often life punches me in the face and knocks me the F out. And I have a look at my life and I see the world. I was like, actually, yeah, no, those shoes cost more than the X amount of pounds I paid for them. That chicken I purchased from Sainsbury's carries a lot more weight than the 200 grams on the packet. That £10 I spent in Poundland wasn't just £10. It was percentages. And in those percentages, I've just paid for that girl's family, her friends, her home, her culture, her future to be what it is. But I think about pounds and pence. I have to get knocked down really bad before I start to see this stuff. That girl's seeing it every day. She's living it. She's feeling it. We've got broken people all over the world, from the Commander General of the strongest army in the world to the people, to the future, and to what really should be on the news. The tragedy of war. Can you imagine? Change the focus of war, the news. What do you reckon with Ukraine and Russia when they one gets embarrassed and decks the other one, do you reckon the news are really going to portray it in a fair and accurate light? Or do you think what's missing within the programmers, within the newsreader, within the owner of the media corporation, is going to be able to see justice and equality? Nobody knows love in this world. The collective psychosis, you're constantly quiet about the secret awakening that's taking place. So I open my mouth, I guess. I speak. If you're not saying anything, well, at least one of us is maintaining a means of communication. And open my mouth. My mind's gone blank about what I was going to say. Some of the other struggles I've got going on, constant memory wiping. That's the men in black I'm dealing with. I think they've installed somewhere one of those neuralizers or whatever they're called, and keeps going off every 5 minutes, and I'm like, what happened? And then I have to get knocked the fuck out by life to remind me. Cheers, men in black. There's a lot of broken people in this world. We've got a lot of holes and gaps in us. The collective psychosis remain quiet about truth, and you live a lie. You let me know you know truth, and you're on the down low. You're the spy. You're the secret agent in a foreign field. You let me know that, I know. That's the only way you can communicate with me. And that's the only real thing I've got coming from you, that you're aware of love on some level. But in reality, in modern times, 2022, Russia and Ukraine are about to get embarrassed. Pandemics, everything else. Love doesn't exist. What are we living for? Love doesn't exist. I don't care if it's on the down low with you. Nothing in you shows me love. I saw love in my uncle. I know love from my family. But it's the only way I know love from my family is because I blame them for all my suffering. And I know they love me on a superficial level that we all have with friends, family, loved ones. And that's as far as I could really understand their love. But they've put me in a place where I'm suffering, really, really suffering. And I know that superficial love is behind their willingness to make me suffer this. Does that make it real love? It makes it a lot more real than anything else. But it doesn't really make it real love, does it? It's still not love. If it was love, they'd be like, we can't do that to him. We've got to do it ourselves first. And my uncle half done that. in truth, in absolute truth, I've lived my life of spirituality. And in this world, there's only one person I've ever met that I'm aware of, that I can see in their actions, their behaviour, their demeanour towards life. And he had to hide, like the collective psychosis, the reasons behind a lot of his actions. But we had a very clear means of communication, me and my uncle. And within that, I'm very aware of the real reasons, well, of the intent of love from him. Nobody else in this world has let me know their intent of love. Have you ever really showed love to anybody? How can we? We're intoxicated by trauma. We're all broken. We don't love ourselves. I saw the intent of love from my uncle. I believe through his wisdom, he's found a way for all of us to superglue that crack. He had to pass. He had a heart attack car accident. In Greek, we'd say mishimo. It means, yeah, whatever. He knew for whatever reason, on an energetic conscious level, it was his time to go. He didn't let me know that would be happening, and it was a shock to me. But what he did let me know of is that through our communication, the work that he begun, even in his death, is not over. My uncle's going to be here until it's all tidied up. He was gifted the emotional body of Sir Winston Churchill. That's a lot of tidying up to do, isn't it? If you hold that karma in your energy fields, World War II, you've got to tidy up the whole thing. And that's basically the message I got from him. For me, rest and healing of the body is a form of application of love. And in this world, in that place of brokenness and intoxication to the reality of life, the reality that we're going to go to war, because there's people in Ukraine, I think there's people in Russia too, and those people will die on both sides. So we're going to go to war, our brothers and sisters, and there'll be deaths because of an embarrassment. And I don't have the means at the moment. I'm under the cosh, as they would say. I'm up against the wall, financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, in terms of my home, in terms of anything that really gives ease to life. But what I know is when things were easier, or I had a little bit more money, the best part of that was all about health. And I suppose that's why it's so cold at the moment, why it's so hard, because those things that I did for myself every day, that soothed my body, soothed my soul. Because don't forget, that trauma isn't fictitious, it's in us. It stops us from seeing clearly. And that trauma has a physiological effect on us, and it takes its toll. Soothe your bodies. Give energy to your body. It's the first application of love. Because if you can give yourself enough space to see that trauma that our lives have beaten out of us, not trauma beaten out of us, but life has beaten out of us life, and trauma sits there. If we can soothe our bodies enough to see the trauma clearly, it becomes a little bit easier. And our ability to possibly one day hold a real love within us becomes greater. And any form of love that we're trying to apply in this world in modern times becomes a little bit realer. So I guess I'm still at work. I guess I've still got my shit to do and my brokenness to deal with. But at least I can get up and make some food now. Go to the kitchen and tidy up a bit and think about tomorrow now. We're all children. Every single one of us. Even the bad guys. And I tell you, as I said before, look for people who show real intent of love in life. They're the good guys. And they're broken too. But if you put enough of those good guys together, you can start to get a picture. A way forward. So, it's the weekend tomorrow. Saturday. Somber, sorry, I didn't mean that, but my belly's rumbling, so that might be the reason. What is life without love, other than this insanity that breaks us? Is there anything of this insanity to hold to when we're broken? And when I speak of love, I don't mean wishy-washy feelings and all of that. I'm talking about a serious application of consciousness to life, to future, to spirituality.